Welcome. This is a special moment. You are about ready to embark on a journey with Financial Foundation for Success. This class is all about you, your credit, your money, and your future. We have put years of work into this content and have helped hundreds of people on their way to financial success. I'm sure we'll say it again, but we are so excited that you're here.
This is class 1 of 4, and today we're going to be talking about putting your money to work. Please make sure that after watching this video, you click on the link in the description box below. There will be a few short questions to let us know that you watched this video. Let's get to it. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. In today's class, we'll be talking about the importance of saving, different savings options and tools. We'll be talking about the difference between saving and investing, which is often a asked about topic. And perhaps most importantly, we'll be discussing retirement. Making your money work for you instead of the other way around is the foundation of achieving any financial goal you may have.
One of the most important and arguably easiest ways to make your money work for you is to save it. The reason for that is because saving keeps you safe in the present and in the future by protecting your hard-earned money and giving it a purpose.
Some short-term reasons to save are for unexpected emergencies. Many people are pretty good at saving as a way to obtain larger purchases they don't currently have the funds for. For example, if you wanted to buy a new smartphone or TV, you probably already know how much it will cost, so you can have that goal of saving a certain amount of money a month until you save up to purchase that item. What we're not so good at is saving for things we don't know exist yet, like the car repair we're going to have 5 months from now, the injury we might get, or the job we might lose. This is why funding an emergency savings account is so important. Financial experts recommend saving the amount which would equal 3 to 6 months of income for your family in order to have cash available to cover those emergency expenses, or just to cover regular monthly expenses in the event of a job loss. If you find it more beneficial to base your emergency savings off of your family's income, you can do it that way. Or if you find it more beneficial to base it off of your family's monthly expenses and ensure that you've saved 3 to 6 months worth of expenses to cover, you can do it that way as well. While that may seem like a lofty goal, getting started is key, and any amount you can add each month to build up that emergency savings account, you will thank yourself for later. The amount of fear and stress that is alleviated by having an emergency savings account is priceless. Okay, so how many months worth of expenses or income should I have saved in an emergency savings account? If you were listening and remember the answer, pause the video and type it down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. All right, Tyler, so how many months of expenses or income should I have saved in my emergency savings account?
Okay, if you said 3 to 6 months in your answer, then you are correct. Congratulations, you get a gold star for the day. We want to have 3 to 6 months of savings in our emergency savings account. Other longer-term reasons to save are for retirement and higher education, whether that be for yourself or your children. Statistics show that most Americans either do not have a retirement account or they are severely underfunded. The earlier you can start saving for long-term goals, the better, as you will benefit not only from the compound interest, but the added time to reach your goal and let that compound interest have an effect. For example, it will always be easier to put $50 away a month for 10 years than it would be to put $500 away a month for 1 year to get the same result.
For those of us that are thinking, yes, I get it, saving is important, but it's a chore. It's not fun or exciting. Think about saving as paying yourself first. We work hard day in and day out to earn the money we have available to us. And throughout the month, it's going to the landlord or the mortgage company, it's going to Mid-American and all our service providers. It's going to all the businesses and companies and organizations that we're obligated to pay, and some that simply get us to purchase things that we may not need due to marketing or impulse purchases. And then if there is anything left at the end of the month, we save that for ourselves, our families, and our futures. That's not making your money work for you, and it's not being in control of your money. By using a spending plan, which we'll talk a lot more about next week, saving and paying yourself first, you're prioritizing your goals and making sure that every dollar that you worked hard to earn is being used for your best benefit.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Benefits of being banked. So now that we've talked about the why, let's talk about the how. Being banked is an important first step in making your money work for you, and for a variety of reasons. First, it's safe. There's a much lower risk of losing your money to fire, theft, or even being lost if it's in a safe in the bank instead of what we call the mattress account, which is cash under your mattress. It's convenient. There's no anxiety over walking around with large amounts of cash or having to find time to cash your check. When you're banked, there's access to ATMs, direct deposit, and online banking. All of those things making it way easier when our lives are so busy. With being banked, there's much lower cost to cashing a check. Actually, there's no cost. So when you compare that to like paying to cash your check, there's a great benefit of being banked there as well. Banks are secure. This is a little bit different than safe. So when we say secure, we mean that your checking and savings account are insured up to $250,000. So if there was a theft or a fire at your bank, your money would still be guaranteed to you. Lastly, having a financial relationship is a big benefit of being banked. For example, you can get better terms on a loan. You can get lines of credit that you might not otherwise be able to get. Or you could even have a better time trying to, argue a fee that you incurred accidentally. Okay, so now that we have talked about the benefits of being banked, I'm wondering if you remember them now that they're not on the screen. If you do, pause this video for a moment and go down there into the comment section and see if you can remember them. Larissa, do you remember what they are?
Ooh, well, there's 5 of them.
It can be a little bit tricky.
It can be a little tricky, but I'll try my best.
Okay. Number 1, what do you got?
So out of 5, low cost. They're definitely cheaper.
Yes.
A lot of times with a bank, especially if you get your checking and savings account together, they'll waive any fees. So definitely low cost.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Let's see. Convenient.
Let's see. Yes. Yep. Convenient. That's right.
Yeah, a lot more convenient than just carrying around lots of cash. It could be lost. Don't want any of that.
Mm-mm.
And speaking of it getting lost, it's a lot more safe in a bank. Is that one?
Hey, I see.
There we go.
There. Yeah.
Also, let's see. Well, thinking about safe, it's also secure because most of your basic accounts in a bank are secure and insured. So your checking, your savings account, those are insured by the FDIC or the NCUA. And so you would be compensated for the funds in your account if something happened.
Indeed. Last one. What do you got?
Do you guys remember the last one? Help me out. All right. It's financial relationship.
Hey, great. Very good. Yeah, all sorts of benefits to being banked. I'm banked. Larissa, are you banked?
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, both of us are banks, so that should be an endorsement right there. Larissa, what is the difference between like a bank and a credit union?
So there's two main types of financial institutions. Like Tyler said, there's banks and credit unions. Where you choose to be banked is completely up to you. Oftentimes we get questions about which one's better, credit union or bank, and we really just recommend that you think about the accounts that you are looking to have and make sure that the bank or credit union that you go to have access to those accounts. Nowadays, banks and credit unions operate very similarly. In the past, you needed to be part of a certain group in order to become a member of a credit union, such as the teachers' credit union or a firefighters' credit union. But now, most of the time, just living in the city or the neighborhood that that credit union serves will give you the membership to the credit union. Other than that, a traditional bank, typically doesn't have any requirements to become a member. So those are the main differences, but again, nowadays they operate very similarly. Banks are for profit and credit unions are not for profit organizations, but they both keep your money secure, like we talked
Mm-hmm.
about earlier. The National Credit Union Association, or NCUA, is the entity that insures accounts at credit unions. And the FDIC, or Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, is the entity that insures banks.
Very good. Okay, and what about all of the services that banks and credit unions offer? There are a ton of different benefits, and it's important that you shop around too, because not every bank or credit union is going to have every single one of these things. Checking and saving, that's pretty standard. I would say most banks and credit unions are probably going to have a checking and savings account. We can also talk about money market accounts. It's kind of like a savings account, maybe with a couple more restrictions, but they usually have a larger interest rate, so you get a little bit more money back. There are also certificates of deposit. Sometimes they're known as CDs. This is a savings vehicle where you can put in X number of dollars. Usually there's a minimum. Let's say it's $500. And the bank gets to keep that $500 for, say, 2 years. So you can't withdraw that money for 2 years, but at the end, they give you a whole bunch of interest. We've seen interest rates anywhere from, like 0.5% all the way up to like 2 or 3%, which is significantly better than most checking and savings accounts. Through banks and credit unions, you can open up investment accounts. You can get loans. There's even safety deposit boxes like you see in this picture here. Nice little boxes where you can keep documents very secure. It's usually in this very large safe and probably one of the safest places you can keep things. And there's oftentimes a notary service. So if you need an important or sensitive document notarized, especially if you're a member or belong to that bank, they may even do it for free.
So we've talked about the different services at financial institutions and the, small differences between banks and credit unions. How do you choose what's right for you? There is no one size fits all for financial institutions, and where you ultimately decide to bank is completely up to you and your wants and needs. Make sure that you ask questions to ensure the bank or credit union has the products and accounts you are looking for. Ask about the fees they charge for different accounts, if there are account minimums you need to maintain, banking hours, ability for online banking, all these different components that are important to you. Ask the questions, and that will help you find out which one works best for you. Think about the location. Some people prefer a convenient, close location, but if you know that you tend to withdraw funds from your savings account more often than maybe you should, perhaps a less convenient location would be better. That way, it's not as easy for you to just stop on your way home or on the way to work to withdraw those funds that you've been working hard to save.
Mm-hmm.
It's also important to shop around. There's a financial institution on every block, and finding the one that suits you will set you up for success. If you're currently banked at an institution that you are not satisfied with, you can absolutely change banks. Many people stay with a bank just because maybe that's the first one that they opened up an account with, but maybe it charges high fees or they don't get good customer service from them. Banking should be a positive experience. So ask for referrals from trusted friends and family, ask a lot of questions, and take the time to find the one that's right for you.
No matter where you choose to bank, an important skill to have to make your money work for you is learning how to maintain your accounts. For all the benefits they have, it is important to remember that bank accounts and services do have fees if you're not using them wisely or paying attention. By maintaining your accounts properly, you will get all the benefits they offer without losing any of your money to fees. Even though these things seem simple, in our busy lives we can lose track sometimes, so it is important to remember to keep track of your balance. Use online banking to have an up-to-date record of your available funds, or use the customer service line on the back of your debit card. You can call them and check your available balance before making a purchase. Make sure you record your checks. Weeks can go by before a check is cashed, and if you don't deduct that from the balance, you can get hit with non-sufficient funds and bounced check fee. If possible, don't use ATMs that will charge you a fee to use them. And of course, if having your debit card on you prompts you to spend more money than you would, perhaps consider not taking it with you everywhere you go, or withdrawing a small amount of cash to use instead.
All right, so we've talked a lot about savings, but another way to make our money work for us is investing. This is different from savings, as savings is when you put away your own money for future use. Whereas with investing, you're actually purchasing something that you hope will be worth more in the future. When people think of investing, the stock market often comes to mind. The stock market is an everyday term we use to talk about a place where stocks and bonds are traded, meaning bought and sold. The goal is to buy the stock, hold it for a period of time, and then sell the stock for more than you paid for it. So you might be wondering, what exactly are stocks? Stocks are units of ownership in a company. When you buy stock, you become a shareholder, which means you now own a part of the company. If the company's profits go up, you share in those profits. If the company's profits fall, so does the price of your stock, though. If you sold your stock on a day when the price of that stock was below the price you paid for it, you would lose money, so there are no guarantees.
Stocks are shares of an individual company. So if you're just buying shares from a single company, it can be pretty risky for the reasons that Larissa just shared. A less risky investment option are mutual funds. A mutual fund is an investment program funded by shareholders that trades in diversified holdings and is professionally managed. Basically, it is a collection of stocks and bonds to invest in, and because it is a mixture of stocks from many different companies and bonds, it is a lower risk over just stocks alone. For example, if you have 100 companies represented in your mutual fund and a portion of them are doing poorly, you have the remaining good performing companies to compensate. While everyone has an opinion on the stock market, especially when it's doing poorly, the S&P 500 index, which is a collection of about 500 of America's largely public traded companies and is considered the benchmark measure for annual returns, has historically, over the existence of the stock market, including all of the ups and downs, provided a 10% rate of return. So as you can see, for long-term goals such as retirement, investing can be a very useful tool to help you get to your retirement goals faster than just in a savings account alone.
Speaking of retirement, let's dive in a little deeper there. There are several different types of retirement accounts, but the two main types are IRAs and 401ks. An IRA is an individual retirement account. This is an account that you can go and open up yourself at a bank or credit union or investment firm and fund it without your employer being involved. The second type, 401k, is an employer-sponsored plan. So this is something that your employer may offer as part of your benefit package. You would meet with your human resources representative, and they would provide options for opening the account and different investments that you can make within the account. So the main difference there is that an IRA is an individual retirement account, whereas the 401k is employer-sponsored. The best bet is to, of course, go to your employer first and see if they offer some type of retirement account. It may not be a 401k. Other employer-sponsored plans are called 403bs, IPERs if you work in the education system, or even a pension. So it might not be called a 401k, but you want to go and check with your employer to see what their options are, what accounts are available to you. The main benefit of that is that oftentimes employers will actually match a portion of what you contribute. So if you're contributing 6% of your income and your employer will match you 3%, you are actually contributing 9% total. So that's a huge benefit, and you don't want to leave that money on the table by not seeking out your employer's retirement options. But again, keep in mind that if they do not offer you an option, you are able to go and open those IRAs yourself. There's two main types, traditional and Roth. The main differences are the ways that your contributions are taxed. So in a traditional IRA, your contributions are made before tax, which means that your withdrawals will be taxed later when you withdraw the funds. With a Roth, the contributions are made after taxes. So when you do go to withdraw, they won't be taxed when certain conditions are met.
Saving and investing for retirement is important. So let's take a look at the benefits of starting early. 4 out of 5 working Americans have less than 1 year's income saved for retirement. In short, that's probably just not going to cut it if that's all you've saved come time for retirement. You'll still probably have to continue to work in order to make a livable income. Let's look over here at the couple of graphs we have. So on the left here, we have someone starting at age 38. They're putting in $100 a month for a total contribution of $34,800 by the time they retire at age 67. So that is 29 years of investing, and it grew to be $80,000. So significantly more than they put in. Let's go over here to the very right-hand side, though, and look at someone who started investing just 10 years earlier at age 28. They're putting in the same amount every month, just $100. So they will contribute $46,800, which is just about $12,000 more than the person who started at age 38. But look at their growth. They're on the very right-hand side. Their growth is $181,000, which is more than double of what the person who started at age 38. Even the difference of a couple years can make a huge difference. So all that to say, if you haven't started, today is the best day to do it. And it is never too late to start.
All right, now that we've talked about both saving and investing, it's important to note the differences in the protection and insurance on different account types. We talked earlier in this class that basic accounts at financial institutions are insured by the FDIC and NCUA, but let's review what is protected. If you notice, these accounts are all accounts where you are depositing your hard-earned money to build savings. So these protected accounts are your checking account, savings account, money market account, and certificate of deposit. So when you open any of these accounts and deposit your money into them, they are insured through the FDIC or NCUA.
Okay, so here are some of the things that are not protected. And as we talked about earlier, the things that are not protected are based off the publicly traded market. So essentially, the government is not going to claim responsibility for what happens on the market. If you choose to invest money there, there's a certain amount of risk that comes with that. So things that are not protected, the stock market, mutual funds, and most retirement accounts. Now, what we mean by most retirement accounts is it just depends on where your money is invested, what savings vehicle it's in. If you choose to invest it in a CD, one of the things on Larissa's list that she just read, CDs are protected. So if all of your retirement was in CDs, then yes, you'd get your money back if something happened. However, if you were to invest your retirement funds in the stock market or mutual funds, for example, and something happened, that money would not be insured and protected. All right, we have another knowledge test. Here we go. So that slide we were just on, are investment accounts such as 401ks, mutual funds, or stocks, are they insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, otherwise known as the FDIC? Larissa, what do you think?
I'm going to have to say no, they are not insured.
No, not at all insured.
No, but it's really important to remember that even though those types of accounts are not insured, they are often the best way to get a high rate of return on your investments, especially for retirement.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the upcoming activity, but there are reasons and there are timeframes that are a good utilization of these types of investment products. When you have a very long-term goal, using these investment products, even though they may have some risk, could be a good option. So keep in mind they are not insured, but that does not mean that they don't have a purpose.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Larissa.
All right, we're at activity 1. Folks, stop or go investing scenarios. They're going to stop. They're going to go. It's up to you. Call out your answers. It's going to get exciting.
Let's do it.
All right. Jasper's been in his current job for 5 years and is looking to personally invest in stocks, but he hasn't opened a retirement account with his employer yet, and they offer a match program. He has only about $1,000 in his savings account, which is less than 1 month of his current expenses. So what do we think? Should he continue on in, pursuing a personal stock investment, or should maybe he wait it out? What do you guys think? All right.
I'll tell you what I think.
What do you think, Tyler?
I think stop. Jasper needs to
pump the brakes.
Yeah, pump the brakes, Jasper. Jasper should probably first establish a retirement account to gain the match from his employer and fully fund his emergency savings account before considering any additional investing.
Great advice.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Laxmi is contributing 10% of his pre-tax income to his employer-sponsored retirement account and is receiving a 3% match. He owns his home and has spent several years building up a large emergency savings account. He now wishes to invest in a stock-heavy mutual fund to get a high rate of return in order to fund his children's college educations. What do you guys think? Shout it out. We won't be able to hear you, but your neighbors will.
That's right. I mean, Laxmi's sitting pretty right now, it seems like.
Yeah.
Go.
So
go,
you would
go,
say
go.
Go, go, go. Yeah, Laxmi's got it under control.
Yeah, he has his retirement, his emergency savings, and his housing. It's all in a stable position. So starting, to research investments for education, such as a 529 college savings plan, could definitely be a wise next step. Juanita is 40 years old and hasn't started saving for retirement yet. Last month, she had a significant car repair bill that nearly drained her emergency savings fund. Recently, she's become interested in an investment opportunity her friend shared with her. So what do we think about this one?
I'm thinking Stop.
Stop.
Yeah, well, Anita should prioritize funding a retirement account and an emergency savings account before considering doing some of that additional investing. Also, consulting a financial advisor regarding an unsolicited investment opportunity is highly recommended.
For sure.
Yeah. Halima has a stable income, is contributing the full amount yearly to her Roth IRA. Good job, Halima. And has saved 6 months of her income for emergencies. She has now been researching mutual funds in which to invest her disposable income. What do you guys think about Halima? Larissa, you specifically, what do you think?
You know, I like what I see. 6 months of income for emergency savings. You know, as we talked about, most financial advisors recommend 3 to 6 months, and she's at that higher amount. So that's really great. She's contributing the full amount to her Roth IRA. So that's that individual retirement account. She's making sure that's funded. She's looking forward to the future. I think it's a go.
Yeah, a go, absolutely.
Yeah, she's in a great position to begin investing her future savings to reach other mid to long-term goals that she may have through that mutual fund investment account.
Mm-hmm.
Holly has been behind in her credit card payments and is looking for a way to get ahead. Oh man, Holly, too much milk bones on the credit card.
Man.
She sees an ad on Facebook talking about investing in, quote, the next Amazon. Holly wants an easy way to make money and is ready to buy.
That Holly, she's she can be a little impulsive at times.
I'm sure.
For everyone who's listening, Holly is my dog. And yeah, she does love those milk bones. So I could definitely see her
racking up those credit cards.
Yeah. Yeah. First mistake was probably giving her a credit card to begin with, but that's not the topic of this conversation. You know, I would tell Holly, we need to stop and think about some things here.
Definitely.
So, you know, simply put, Holly is just not quite ready to invest. Before she invests, she needs to become current on her debt and ensure that she is funding retirement and emergency savings. Most importantly, emergency savings. We want to make sure that savings account is, again, between that 3 to 6 months of expenses, because if Holly is all the way down towards the bottom of that account without any money left and something happens, she's going to not be in a good position. So honestly, the next step for Holly is probably getting that emergency savings account up again, and then talking with a financial advisor to consider the best way to invest. You know, just seeing something quick on the internet, especially an ad on Facebook talking about the next Amazon, you know, probably not a reliable thing just to jump into. So talk with that financial advisor and avoid some of those rich quick schemes that we often see as scams. Beatrice has 6 months of expenses saved in an emergency fund and no debt. Good job, Beatrice. She would like to start investing for retirement, but would have to wait to save more money to do so. Instead, Beatrice is thinking about using her emergency fund to invest in mutual funds. This one's a little bit tricky. So what do you guys think? Is that a good idea to, I mean, she has the money, right? She
wants to invest in her retirement. I mean, we do say investing in retirement is a good idea, but it looks like there's a little bit more to it. So what do we think? Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So even though she has, you know, her goal is a good goal. She wants to start saving for retirement. That's definitely, her head is in the right place. But using up her emergency savings is not the right way to do it. Those emergency funds, they need to be liquid, which means they need to be immediately accessible in case of an emergency. If she invested those funds, they would be tied up in the stock market, or if she deposited those funds into a certificate of deposit, there's a time frame that you have to leave the money in there for. So a certificate of deposit wouldn't be a good idea either. So essentially that emergency fund, you want to keep that in just a basic savings account where you can easily access it when those emergencies happen.
Yeah.
So the wise move would be to leave the emergency savings fund as it is and then begin using her future savings to put towards retirement.
That's right. And you can find higher yield savings accounts too. So shop around and you may be able to find a savings account which still gives you some decent interest, but that would remain a liquid fund.
All right, we're at activity 2. So this is the second part where we are going to be discussing risk tolerance levels. These levels are low, medium, or high. What we'll do is talk about a scenario of someone interested in investing, and we're going to think about, based on their circumstances, would the best option be a low risk investment, a medium risk investment, or a high risk investment? Like before, feel free to yell out your answers. I'm sure some of you, 7 o'clock at night, sitting on the couch watching Jeopardy, I know you yell the answers out. I do. There's nothing wrong with it. So funnel that energy here.
Yeah, you just yell it away. And who knows, depending on where you live, we might hear you, which would be really fun for us.
Absolutely.
So I'll take this first one. So Zach, he wants to save for a down payment on a new car. He'll purchase in a few months and just received his tax refund. What level of risk should he look for when choosing what type of account to save and invest his money in? What do you think? Low risk account, medium risk account, or high risk account? And think back to, some of those things that are low risk. What are some of those low risk vehicles? What are some of the high risk vehicles? And by vehicles, I mean like accounts. Is a mutual fund the way to go? Investing in stocks? Is a CD or, high yield savings account the way to go? What do you guys think? Larissa, what do you think?
So something that really jumped out at me here was that he's going to purchase the car in a few months. So that's not a long time. That's a short-term goal. He needs that money, available to him just in a few months' time. So I'm going to say low. For this situation in particular, I would not even recommend an investment. It would be a savings option. This could either be saved in a basic savings account or a term appropriate CD so that the money is easily accessible and there would be no risk of losing value without time to recover. All right, next one. Carlos is 40 years old and is establishing a retirement account. He wants his money to grow before he retires in 25 years, but he doesn't want too much risk since he's not comfortable with large fluctuations in value. This one could be a little tricky. He has 25 years, but he just personally doesn't feel comfortable with a lot of risk. What do we think?
Well, let's see. Yeah, medium is probably the way to go here. So he is a little bit, I'm not sure if you want to call it behind, but, he's not 25 anymore and has 25 years until retirement. So that part of it, if he was comfortable with it, maybe he would invest with a little bit higher risk. But at the same time, he's just not comfortable with a lot of risk, which is perfectly fine. That's his preference. So, maybe it's more of a medium term sort of thing. Just like we were talking about, Carlos does have time to invest in high risk investments, but since he doesn't personally feel too comfortable with that, medium might be the better risk investment.
Absolutely. And keep in mind that that is okay. When you are ready to invest, if at some point, that is something you decide to do, it is perfectly fine to consider your personal feelings regarding risk and how you would feel about seeing values in your account go up and down. That is a question that a lot of financial advisors will actually ask their client. They'll ask, if you saw your account, drop a certain, a large percentage, would you buy, would you sell, would you stay the same? And they use that to determine if having, a higher risk is appropriate, because really you want to match that to, your behavior. So absolutely, if you feel that you would be uncomfortable seeing those dips, up and down in the value, there's nothing wrong with sticking with a lower risk investment.
Tia is 18 years old and just got her first job. Her employer offers a 401k plan with a match benefit and gives her options on how to invest that money in the 401k plan. She will not be retiring until she is 65. Tia's got some time. I wish I would have
Time
started
on her side.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you guys think? Should she go high risk, low risk, since she's got so much time? What do you guys think? It's a puzzle. Larissa, what do you think?
I'm saying high right off the bat.
High,
she's
yep.
18. She's not going to retire until she's 65. So, Tia's expected retirement is over 40 years away. She has a very long time to recover from any dips in the market, and will see her money grow the most from a higher risk reward type investment. Financial advisors often advise investors in this age group to have a 90-10 mix of stocks to bonds, which means that 90% of their portfolio would consist of stocks and only 10% consist of bonds. That is definitely in the high range. And again, with her age and the amount of time she has, that would be the best choice at this point. All right. Lisa is 50 and she would like to retire when she's 70. She has over 6 months of her income saved in an emergency savings account. She's only been saving for retirement for the past 5 years, and she feels behind in her retirement savings goal. So what do we think? She feels behind. She wants to really go strong with the retirement. She already has her emergency savings account funded. What do we
Sounds
think?
like she's a bit of a risk taker, Larissa.
It does. I think she's a little bit of a wild child risk taker. So
yeah, if she's comfortable going with the high risk investment, 20 years is still a long time to kind of weather the dips in the market. So I definitely consider, as she gets closer to retirement age, that she take that down. I think most financial advisors and coaches would recommend that. But yeah, if she wants to go after it, go after it. As Larissa was saying, she's still got 20 years until retirement. And because she feels behind, she may be willing to take on a higher risk investment to get ahead. She can rebalance her account as she gets near retirement to lower her levels of risk. Many target year retirement funds automatically rebalance risk over time. Harriet and James have a 10-year-old child. They want to save money for their child's college education. They will withdraw the funds in 8 years when the child graduates high school. What do you guys think? So they have 8 years until their child graduates. Not a lot of time, but still want to build some wealth in that account. Larissa, what do you think?
I feel like this one doesn't have a ton of information, so we do have to just go based off of the information provided. So I feel like there could be some different ways to go, but yeah, medium. I say medium would be a good starting place. 8 years is an appropriate amount of time, so I would think that they would most likely consider a medium level of risk. This is a midterm goal, and they don't want to risk what they've saved for their children's education, but they also want to see it grow. So they would prefer to see that consistent, even if it is perhaps lower rate of growth over time, because they are going to need those funds in 8 years. So they want to see some growth. but don't want to take too much risk because they are going to need those funds available for when their child graduates high school. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a personal choice. A lot of it comes down to that, but I think medium would be a wise move. What did you guys say? Make sure you leave us a comment letting us know, did you guess all of those correct? Maybe you have a different answer? We want to hear from you. Do remember though that, as we're going through this activity, these are just small examples of different scenarios. Of course, it doesn't encompass someone's entire financial picture. So just remember, when you're investing, regardless of risk level, market values can be unpredictable and rates of return are not guaranteed. So we just want to emphasize that when it comes to investing, making sure you're doing your research and considering all of your options and where your finances are at, is a smart move first. We've talked about a lot during our time here today, and we hope you are really excited to start on this financial journey and make your money work for you. Some of it may have been new to you, or maybe it's just a refresher, but either way, we want to get back to the heart of this class, which is making your money work for you. Not me, not Tyler, not your neighbor, but for you. So that's going to look different to everyone here watching today. We'd like you to take some time and think about where your finances are now and where you'd like them to be in 1, 5, or 10 years. What are some goals you have? Jot down some of that information for the next class, as we're going to be talking about making SMART goals, and we'll work together on getting those ideas into achievable goals. And make sure that you think of that financial goal that you have before you watch class 2.
Thank you for watching today's video. In the link in the description below, there are 2 things that you need to do today. First, take the survey confirming that you watched today's video.
Second, whenever you're ready to watch class 2, whether that's now or on another day, you can find that link in the description box as well. We'll see you next time on Financial Foundation for Success.